a couple evenings ago, I was listening to your evening show, and you had a newscaster on from LA talking about the riots and how it was just a 1 square mile area that was rioting. My family, my parents lost their business in a fire a couple years ago. And thank goodness they had really good insurance that covered everything. And it just, we talk about real lives and real people. And I don't think people understand how devastating it is. And they had insurance and rebuilt and everything is great, but it wasn't just them that suffered, but all of their employees and everybody that makes their living and their livelihood. And just, I feel like we're so stuck on this, what side is right or whatever, when it really needs to be looking at, what's good for people and our citizens. So that's just kind of a comment. And I love you all. I think you're great. I really enjoy the conversation that everybody brings forward.
Yeah, you're very nice. And a family business being destroyed, even with insurance, is obviously just a heartbreaking thing. And I think one of the failures of people in the media, not all, but many, is personal properties destroyed by people on the left, and they just don't cover it. They just don't treat it like what it is, which is not just a violation of law, but in many cases a shattering of blood, sweat, and tears and a family dream. So I couldn't agree with you more. Dan.
Yeah, Megan, I was just about to say the same thing, that you just make such a simplistic but kind of perfect point, which is why I think the Democratic Party, when these things have happened the last several years, have ultimately lost public opinion, because people just look at it and say, my gosh, the store, everyone has a main street, everyone has a business district. To see glass shattered, I remember Washington, D.C., after the Black Lives Matter marches, we walked to the end, a couple blocks down from our house what was a busy business corridor, and there were chairs through windows. There was glass all over the sidewalks, like whether it was a Wawa or a Gap or whatever. Like it was unbelievable. And I think most people look at that, their heart breaks, and they get kind of angry, right? Whatever the cause was or is, it isn't heard as clearly when violence like that happens. And so I think it's a great point.
Megan, thank you. Yeah. Sean.
Thank you. Totally agree. Appreciate you coming on, Megan. Thanks for your kind words about the program. I agree with you. One of these, to Dan's point, when I remember after the BLM protest, right outside my office was this homeless man that had built this little encampment, and they burned it. And he's never come back. I don't know whatever happened to the guy, but it's like, for people on the left that supposedly care about other people and those that are disadvantaged, the lack of concern for what this does to not just, big businesses. Like you watch these Apple stores get looted, and I'm sure they've got insurance. I remember on 15th Street, near where my old office was, we'd walk into the CVS and there isn't anything that's not behind plastic. There's a Walmart that was in, it's like 8th and Mass, or 6th, 7th and Mass. And it closed. And I said something like about a week ago to somebody. I said, God, it's crazy. I would assume a Walmart would have done well right there in DC. And they said, I don't know that it had to do with that. They go, do you know how often people were just looting the crap out of it and the cops couldn't do anything? And yet Democrats are now excusing crime. And I don't get it. Where's the outrage? Looting an Apple store in downtown LA, what does that have to do with ICE? What does that have to do with deportation? What does that have to do with anything? And yet there's not a single person that I've heard condemn any of that. Not one. And I just think that that's sad and pathetic. And again, the media, the only coverage they've given this is when their own trucks get damaged. And then it's all because it's about them. And that's the only time they care about, this destruction, is when it affects them and their ability to do something, or that the fact that they stole an AirPod out of their news truck.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a clip. And you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.